This is Chem 2204. We're doing experiment 6 today, which is chromatography, and we're going to be looking at how to separate out two different compounds, fluorine and fluorinone, and we're going to be using the difference in polarity of these two compounds and running them through column in order to separate them out into pure compounds. The first thing we're going to do today is actually prepare our column. So you're going to be provided with this burette. And make sure that your TA has already provided you with glass wool in the bottom, and make sure that that glass wool is pushed all the way down to the bottom. And make sure that your stopcock is closed before we start. And once you get this set up, we're going to be taking sand, and we're going to be adding about half a centimeter to a centimeter worth of sand in on top of this glass wool. And make sure today when you're adding stuff, you actually tap the burette, and that will help pack everything down. I'm going to add just a little bit more here. And so that is good. We've got between half a centimeter and a centimeter worth of sand there on top of the glass wool. And next we're going to be putting in 50 mils of hexane. Okay, so that's filling the column with hexane. Again, before you add that, make sure that your stopcock is closed, or it's going to spill out onto the bench. We'll place our funnel back in, and now we're going to take some silica gel. And so this is silica powder, and you're going to weigh out 10 grams of this at the balance, and then we're going to be adding this. But you want to add a little bit at a time, and as it's coming down, we want to make sure that it's packing really tight. We also want to make sure that this stays wet with hexane the entire time. We don't want any air bubbles or anything into the column, because we can get cracks or air pockets in the column, and then it will not separate out our two components properly. So we're going to add the silica gel to the top. You can use a funnel to help direct it in, but make sure that you're not getting your funnel wet with hexane, because it will clog. So we're just going to tap this in here, and just a little bit at a time. And you can see here that it's trickling down into the bottom of the column. If you get gel formation on the sides or the walls of your flask, we can always wash this down at the end with a little bit of excess hexane. But you can continue on right now unless this is clogging over and not allowing you to bring silica down to the bottom of your burette. As the silica gel is coming into the bottom here, we're just going to give this a tap, because you can see there's air bubbles that get trapped in the bottom, and we want to get those out. So we give this tap, and that's just letting the silica gel pack tightly in the bottom of the burette. So far, I have been adding the silica gel just directly to the top of the burette, and that's just because that's what I'm more comfortable with. If you're more comfortable with using a funnel, you can use the funnel at the top, Just make sure that you are not getting the funnel wet because it can clog easily at the bottom. It's not a very big opening. But if we have the funnel here, we can add it here. You also have to be careful when using a funnel because it allows you to add it much faster, and you want to make sure that you don't forget to pack it as you're going. If when you're packing your column, you end up getting the hexane line approaching the top of the burette, since you're adding 10 grams of silica in here, it is going to displace the hexane up. If you feel like it's getting too high, you can always bring the level down, so just grab a waste beaker, and we're going to open the stopcock here and just drain the hexane down a little bit. So we're going to open it up. If you can see the level dropping here. So for making up your mixture of the fluorine and fluorinone, you're going to weigh out 0.2 grams of the mixture from the side, and we're going to be taking that and dissolving it in a mixture of 1:1 hexane and ether to a maximum of 2 mils. Don't use any more than 2 mils of that solution to dissolve this, otherwise you'll end up having your solution too dilute. So we're going to take our mixture here, and instead of making up the mixture beforehand, I'm just going to add 1 mil of each hexane and ether. So here we have hexane, and I'm just going to go a little under 1 mil because I don't want to go over that 2 mil maximum. So we're going to add in the hexane, then we're going to add in about 1 mil of the ether. And then we're just going to mix that up until it all dissolves. So now we're going to take our mixture that we've just prepared and we're going to be adding it to the top of our column. So here you can see that the level of solvent has been brought down to just above the sand, and that's because when we add our mixture in, we don't want it to mix with too much solvent and then be too dilute. So we're going to take a pipette here, and I'm just doing one final mix here just to make sure everything's dissolved. And then we're just going to add this in the top. So once we've added the mixture into the top, we're going to bring the solvent level down again, just so that this is sitting right at the top of the sand now. So we're bringing our mixture of compounds into the column. So we're just going to open the stopcock and let the compound drain a little bit, just so the top is at the sand. It's very important today that you don't let your column run dry. So never let the solvent level go underneath where the sand starts. So we're just bringing it down a bit. And right about there, we're going to stop it, and then we're going to go really slowly. We don't want to go below the sand. So that's about where we want it to be. And now we're going to be adding in our hexane for the elution of the column.